The arrival. The Galactic Council of Elders convened in an emergency session, their crystalline forms shimmering with agitation. Elder Zixnera, her facets pulsing with an urgent blue light, addressed the assembly. Esteemed colleagues, we face an unprecedented situation. A species previously unknown to us has entered our galaxy. Murmurs rippled through the chamber like waves in a pond of liquid light. Elder Kronthar, his edges sharp with skepticism, spoke up. Impossible. No one can traverse the great void between galaxies. Our most advanced propulsion systems can barely scratch the surface of such a journey. Zixnera's light pulsed more intensely, and yet they have done it. They call themselves humans, and they arrive not in ships, but in what can only be described as artificial worlds. Holographic displays flickered to life around the chamber, showing massive spheres larger than most planets, streaking across the void of space at impossible speeds. The elders watched in stunned silence as these colossal constructs decelerated on approach to their galaxy, violating several laws of physics in the process. How is this possible? Elder Vreenlox asked, her usually steady light wavering. We don't know, Zixnera admitted. But what we do know is that these humans have technology far beyond our comprehension. They've already made contact with the Zarthan Empire at the galaxy's edge. Another hologram appeared, showing the encounter. The Zarthan, a militant species known for their aggressive expansion, had sent their entire fleet to confront a single human worldship. What happened next sent shockwaves of fear through the council. The Zarthan ships, thousands of them, opened fire simultaneously. Their energy weapons, capable of reducing planets to ash, seemed to dissipate harmlessly against an invisible barrier surrounding the human construct. Then, with a flash of light that momentarily blinded every sensor, the entire Zarthan fleet simply vanished. By the first star, Kronthar whispered, his skepticism evaporating like mist under a sun. What are these beings? Zixnera's light dimmed to a somber blue. That's what we need to determine, and quickly. The humans have broadcast a message across all known frequencies. They claim to come in peace, seeking to elevate our galaxy. But given what we've seen, they could annihilate us all if they wished. Vreenlox finished the thought. Precisely, Zixnera confirmed. We need to decide how to respond. Do we welcome them, oppose them, or try to hide and hope they pass us by? As the council debated, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The humans were spreading quickly, their worldships appearing in system after system. Some civilizations greeted them cautiously, while others, like the Zarthan, chose aggression. The results were always the same. Those who attacked were swiftly neutralized, while those who welcomed the humans found themselves inundated with technologies and ideas that threatened to upend millennia of cultural and scientific development. On the planet Lyria, home to a species of empaths known as the Aetheri, the arrival of a human worldship caused widespread panic. The Aetheri, with their ability to sense emotions across vast distances, were overwhelmed by the sheer alienness of the human minds. Lyra, an Aetheri scholar, stood beneath the looming shadow of the worldship, her tendrils quivering with a mix of fear and fascination. Beside her, her life partner Zeph tried to make sense of the colossal structure above them. It's alive, Lyra whispered, her voice filled with awe. Not in the way we are, but it thinks. It feels. Zeph's tendrils intertwined with Lyra's, seeking comfort. How can that be? It's a machine, isn't it? Before Lyra could respond, a beam of light shot down from the worldship, coalescing into a holographic form. The Aetheri gasped collectively as they found themselves face to face with a human for the first time. The hologram depicted a being unlike any they had encountered. Bipedal, with a symmetrical face and limbs that ended in multiple digits. Its skin was a pale pink, covered in places by artificial coverings of various colors and textures. Greetings, people of Lyria, the human spoke, its voice somehow conveying both warmth and an underlying steel. I am Ambassador Chen of the Human Confederation. We come in peace and with an offer of friendship." Lyra, designated as the spokesperson for her people, stepped forward. Her tendrils quivered as she tried to read the emotions behind the hologram, finding only a void. We welcome you, Ambassador Chen, but we must ask, why have you come to our galaxy? What are your intentions?" The hologram's expression shifted, showing what the Ethery would later learn was a smile. "A fair question. Lyra of the Ethery. We have come because we believe in the potential of life, in all its forms. Our galaxy, our home, was dying. We sought not just our own survival, but the chance to prevent such a fate from befalling others." Murmurs rippled through the gathered Ethery. Lyra's tendrils twitched with curiosity. "You wish to help us, but how and why?" "Because it is who we are," Chen replied simply. "Humanity has faced extinction many times in our history. Each time, we've emerged stronger, more determined to not just survive, but to thrive. We've learned that the greatest strength comes not from conquest, but from cooperation. We offer you knowledge, technology, and partnership." As Chen spoke, more holograms appeared, showing wonders that defied the Ethery's understanding of science. Cities that floated in the sky, machines that could rearrange matter at the atomic level, and gateways that seemed to bend space itself. "All of this can be yours," Chen continued. "Not as a gift, but as an exchange. We seek to learn from you as much as we hope to teach. The Ethery's empathic abilities, for example, are unlike anything we've encountered. Imagine the possibilities if we could combine your natural gifts with our technological advancements." Lyra felt a mix of hope and trepidation. The offer was tantalizing, but the implications were staggering. "And if we refuse?" Chen's hologram nodded, as if expecting the question. "Then we will respect your decision and move on. We do not force our help on anyone. But know this, the galaxy is changing. New threats and opportunities are emerging. Those who isolate themselves may find the future passing them by." As the human's words sank in, Lyra realized that everything was about to change. Whether they accepted the human's offer or not, the arrival of this new species had irrevocably altered the course of galactic history. In the following days, similar scenes played out across thousands of worlds. The humans, with their impossible technology and inscrutable motives, presented each civilization with a choice: evolve or be left behind. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, ancient powers stirred. Beings that had slumbered for eons sensed the arrival of the humans and the ripples of change spreading across the galaxy. As the cosmic chessboard shifted, one question echoed across the stars. What would happen now that the humans had come? The resistance. As news of the humans' arrival spread across the galaxy, reactions varied wildly. Some species embraced the newcomers, eager to benefit from their advanced technology and knowledge. Others, driven by fear, suspicion, or a desire to maintain their own power, began to organize resistance. On the volcanic world of Pyrrhus, home to the silicon-based Ignians, Lord Commander Blaze stood before the eternal flame, his obsidian skin gleaming in the fiery light. Around him, the High Council of Pyrrhus seethed with barely contained rage. "These humans threaten everything we have built," Blaze declared, his voice crackling like burning coal. "They offer their technology freely, undermining the very foundations of our economy and society. We cannot allow this to continue." Councillor Ember, her form shimmering with heat, spoke up. "But how can we hope to resist? You've seen the reports. The Zarthan fleet, the pride of our quadrant, was erased in an instant." Blaze's eyes flared with determination. "We are not alone in our concerns. I've been in contact with other species who share our view. The Cryo Collective of Glacius, the gaseous Imperium of Nebulos, even the Void Dwellers of the Dark Expanse. Together, we can stand against this human invasion." As the Ignians plotted, similar conversations were taking place across the galaxy. Species that had been bitter enemies for millennia now found common cause in their opposition to the humans. On the ice world of Glacius, Frost Queen Scylla glided through halls of perfect crystal, her thoughts troubled. The Cryo Collective, masters of cold fusion and quantum freezing, had initially welcomed the humans, but as more and more of their young defected to human world ships, seduced by promises of adventure and knowledge, Scylla had grown wary. "Your Majesty," her chief scientist, Kelvin, approached with a bow. "We've analyzed the data from our encounters with human technology. It's beyond anything we've ever seen. Their mastery over energy and matter is almost godlike." Scylla's icy features hardened. "No one is a god, Kelvin. They bleed like any other species. We just need to find out how." In the vast, swirling clouds of nebulas, the gaseous entities known as the aeroforms convened in a great storm council. Speaker Zephyr, a being of living lightning, addressed the gathering. "The humans bring chaos to our ordered galaxy," Zephyr crackled. "Their very presence disrupts the delicate balance we have maintained for eons. We must join with the other resistant species to drive them back to whatever dark corner of the universe they came from." But not all were convinced. Cumulus, a young aeroform, dared to speak against the prevailing wind. "But Speaker, couldn't we learn from them? Their ability to traverse the great void could revolutionize our own exploration efforts." Zephyr's form flickered dangerously. "At what cost, young one? Would you have us sacrifice our very identity?" "No, we must resist, or we will cease to be who we are." As these alliances formed and solidified, the humans continued their expansion across the galaxy, seemingly oblivious to the growing tensions. Their world ships appeared in system after system, always with the same message of peace and progress. On the human world ship Horizon, Ambassador Chen stood before a holographic display of the galaxy, watching as more and more systems lit up with human presence. Beside him, Admiral Yuki Tanaka frowned at the data scrolling across her neural interface. "The resistance is growing stronger," Tanaka reported. "Our sensors have detected large fleet movements in several sectors. They're trying to mask their activities, but it's clear they're preparing for conflict." Chen sighed, his weathered face showing concern. "We knew this would happen. Change always breeds fear and opposition. Have we made any progress in opening dialogues with the resistant species?" Tanaka shook her head. "They refuse all attempts at communication. The Aenians even fired on our diplomatic shuttle, although thankfully our shields prevented any damage. We can't let this escalate into open warfare." Chen mused. "The whole point of our coming here was to prevent the kind of devastation that befell our home galaxy." As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the horizon. Tanaka's eyes widened as she processed the incoming data. "Multiple hostile fleets detected. They're converging on our positions across the galaxy. It's a coordinated attack." Chen's face hardened with resolve. "Broadcast on all frequencies. Let them know we still seek peace, but we will defend ourselves if necessary." Across the galaxy, the resistant species launched their assault. Thousands of ships, representing dozens of different civilizations, attacked human world ships and their allies. Energy beams capable of shattering planets lanced out, while missiles carrying payloads of exotic matter streaked across space. But the humans were prepared. Their world ships, massive as they were, moved with impossible grace, dodging attacks that should have annihilated them. Where evasion was impossible, energy shields flared into existence, absorbing or deflecting the most powerful weapons the galaxy could muster. And then the humans retaliated. On Pyrrhus, Lord Commander Blaze watched in horror as the pride of the Aegnian fleet simply disappeared. One moment, 1,000 ships were bearing down on a human world ship. The next, they were gone, as if they had never existed. "What happened?" he demanded, his fiery form flickering with fear for the first time in centuries. "Where are our ships?" His tactical officer, equally stunned, could only shake her head. "Unknown, sir. Our sensors didn't detect any weapon discharge from the human vessel. They're just gone." Similar scenes played out across the battlefield. The combined might of multiple civilizations, enough firepower to reshape the galaxy itself, seemed to have no effect on the human defenses, and when the humans struck back, it was with a precision and power that defied comprehension. On Glacius, Frost Queen Scylla received reports of entire moons being teleported out of orbit, their frozen surfaces instantly terraformed into lush, habitable worlds. The Cryo Collective's greatest weapons, planet-cracking ice lances and absolute zero bombs, were neutralized before they could even leave the atmosphere. In the clouds of Nebulos, the aeroforms found themselves contained within impenetrable force fields, their gaseous bodies unable to disperse or escape. Speaker Zephyr, for the first time in his long existence, felt true fear. As quickly as it had begun, the great assault was over. The resistant species fleets were in ruins, their homeworlds exposed and vulnerable. They waited, terrified, for the humans to unleash a final devastating counterattack. But it never came. Instead, Ambassador Chen's voice echoed across every communication channel in the galaxy. People of the galaxy, we understand your fear. Change is always difficult, and we have brought more change than any of you have seen in millennia. But this conflict is unnecessary. We do not seek to conquer or destroy. Even now, after your unprovoked attack, we offer peace. On the horizon, Chen turned to Admiral Tanaka. Prepare humanitarian aid for all affected worlds, priority to civilians, and send out diplomatic envoys. It's time we had some real conversations. As the dust settled on the failed resistance, the galaxy held its breath. The humans had demonstrated power beyond imagination, yet they still spoke of peace. For many, fear began to give way to curiosity, and in some cases, hope. What would happen now, in the aftermath of this first, failed attempt to resist the human arrival? The galaxy had seen the steel beneath the velvet glove, but had they also, perhaps, caught a glimpse of the wisdom and compassion that drove humanity's great journey? The next phase of this galactic upheaval was about to begin, and nothing would ever be the same. The olive branch. In the tense aftermath of the failed resistance, the galaxy teetered on a knife's edge. The humans had demonstrated power beyond comprehension, yet their response to aggression had been measured and restrained. Now, as the dust settled, all eyes turned to the enigmatic newcomers, waiting to see what would happen next. On the human world-ship horizon, Ambassador Chen paced the holographic command center, his brow furrowed in concentration. Around him, displays showed the aftermath of the conflict. Worlds in turmoil, civilizations grappling with the realization of their own vulnerability, and the ever-present fear of what the humans might do next. Admiral Tanaka approached, her neural interface pulsing with incoming data. The humanitarian aid is being distributed as we speak, she reported. Most worlds are accepting our help, though some remain hesitant. Chen nodded, his eyes fixed on a holographic representation of the Ignean homeworld, Pyrrhus. And what of our invitations for dialogue? Mixed responses, Tanaka replied. The aeroforms of Nebulos have agreed to talks. The Cryo Collective is considering our offer. But the Igneans, she trailed off, her expression grim. Chen sighed. Still defiant, I take it. Openly hostile, Tanaka confirmed. Lord Commander Blaze is calling for continued resistance. He's claiming our aid efforts are just a prelude to full-scale invasion. Then perhaps it's time we paid them a personal visit, Chen mused. Prepare a shuttle. Small, unarmed. I want to send a message. Tanaka's eyes widened. Sir, with all due respect, that's incredibly dangerous. The Igneans are scared, Chen interrupted gently, and fear makes beings of all species do foolish things. It's time we showed them they have nothing to fear from us. As preparations were made for Chen's risky diplomatic mission, similar scenes were unfolding across the galaxy. On Glacius, Frost Queen Scylla stood before the Grand Ice Mirror, a relic said to reflect not just light, but truth itself. Her crystalline features were etched with worry as she contemplated the human offer of aid and dialogue. Your Majesty, Kelvin, her chief scientist, approached cautiously. The humans have delivered supplies to our outer colonies. Food, medicine, even technology to stabilize our melting polar caps. They're saving millions of lives. Scylla's icy eyes narrowed. And what do they ask in return? Nothing, Your Majesty. They say it's unconditional aid. The Frost Queen turned back to the mirror, her reflection shimmering with uncertainty. Nothing is ever truly unconditional, Kelvin. But perhaps it's time we heard them out. Meanwhile, in the swirling storms of nebulas, the aeroforms were in the midst of heated debate. Speaker Zephyr, his lightning form crackling with agitation, faced off against Cumulus and a growing faction of younger aeroforms. We cannot trust these humans, Zephyr boomed, his voice like rolling thunder. Their power is too great, their motives too obscure. Cumulus, undeterred, floated forward. But they've shown us nothing but patience, even in the face of our aggression. Speaker, imagine what we could learn from them, the advancements we could make. The Storm Council crackled with tension as arguments flew back and forth like bolts of lightning. Finally, an elder aeroform named Stratus intervened, his misty form exuding calm. We have always prided ourselves on our ability to adapt, to flow with the changing winds of the galaxy, Stratus intoned. Perhaps it is time we demonstrated that adaptability once more. Let us meet with these humans, hear what they have to say. We risk nothing by listening. Back on Pyrrhus, Lord Commander Blaze was in a state of near meltdown. His obsidian skin glowed white-hot with fury as he addressed the High Council. These humans mock us, he raged. They offer aid with one hand while holding a sword in the other. We cannot. He was interrupted by a junior officer bursting into the council chamber, her rocky form quaking with excitement or fear. It was hard to tell which. "My Lord Commander," she gasped, "a human shuttle has entered our atmosphere. It's requesting permission to land." Here, in the capital, the council erupted in chaos. Some called for immediate destruction of the shuttle, others for its capture. Blaze, however, fell silent, his fiery eyes narrowing in thought. "Let them land," he said finally, his voice cutting through the uproar. "But be ready for anything. If this is a trick, the humans will learn that the fires of Pyrrhus are not so easily extinguished." As Chen's shuttle descended through the turbulent, ash-filled skies of Pyrrhus, the ambassador steeled himself for what might be the most important diplomatic mission of his life, the fate of not just humanity, but perhaps the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. The shuttle touched down in a vast plaza of obsidian and basalt. As the doors opened, Chen stepped out alone, unarmed, into the sweltering heat. Before him stood Lord Commander Blaze, flanked by heavily armed Ignean guards, their volcanic weapons primed and ready. For a long moment, neither spoke. The only sound was the rumble of distant volcanoes and the hiss of steam rising from the superheated ground beneath Chen's feet. Then, to everyone's surprise, Chen smiled. "Lord Commander Blaze," he said, his voice calm and clear despite the choking air. "I come in peace, and with an open hand." He extended his arm, palm up, in a universal gesture of greeting. Blaze's eyes flared. "You come in peace," he spat. "After decimating our fleets, after humiliating us before the entire galaxy." Chen's smile didn't waver. "We defended ourselves, yes, but look around you, Lord Commander. Your world still stands. Your people still live. If conquest was our goal, do you truly believe you would be standing here now?" The Ignean leader faltered, uncertainty flickering across his molten features. "Then, what do you want?" "To talk," Chen replied simply. "To understand each other. To find a way forward that benefits us all." He gestured to the imposing citadel behind Blaze. "Shall we discuss the future of our peoples somewhere a bit cooler? I fear I'm not as resistant to heat as you are." Despite himself, Blaze felt a grudging respect for the human's audacity. With a curt nod, He turned and led the way into the citadel, Chen following close behind. As news of this unprecedented meeting spread across Pyrrhus and beyond, the galaxy collectively held its breath. On countless worlds, beings of all species huddled around communication devices, eager for any scrap of information about what was transpiring in the heart of the Ignean capital. Hours passed, then days. Rumors flew faster than light itself. Some claimed the humans had been imprisoned, others that they had taken control of the Ignean leadership. But when the truth finally emerged, it was more surprising than any rumor. Lord Commander Blaze and Ambassador Chen stood side by side on the grand balcony of the Ignean citadel, addressing not just Pyrrhus, but the entire galaxy. People of Pyrrhus, citizens of the galaxy, Blaze began, his voice uncharacteristically subdued. We have spent long days in discussion with the human ambassador. We have questioned, argued, and yes, even threatened. But in the end, we have come to an understanding. Chen stepped forward. The Ignean people have agreed to enter into a partnership with humanity, he announced, not as subjects or subordinates, but as equals. Together, we will work to address the challenges facing Pyrrhus and the wider galaxy. Blaze nodded. The humans have shared with us technology beyond our wildest dreams. Already, we are implementing systems to stabilize our world's volatile geology, to harness the power of our volcanoes in ways we never thought possible. In return, we will share our knowledge of high-temperature physics and metallurgy. As the joint address continued, detailing plans for cultural exchange, scientific cooperation, and a new era of galactic diplomacy, the impact rippled across the stars. On Glacius, Frost Queen Scylla made her decision, dispatching envoys to the nearest human world ship. In the storms of Nebulos, the aeroforms voted overwhelmingly to open formal relations with humanity. The olive branch had been extended, and against all odds, it had been accepted. But even as hope blossomed across the galaxy, ancient powers stirred in the darkness between the stars. The greatest challenge, and the true test of this fledgling alliance, was yet to come. As night fell on Pyrrhus, Chen stood alone on the balcony, gazing up at the ash-veiled stars. He allowed himself a small smile of satisfaction, but his eyes remained serious. This was only the beginning. The real work, and the real dangers, still lay ahead. The common enemy. As the dust settled on the diplomatic triumphs of Ambassador Chen, a new era of cooperation seemed to dawn across the galaxy. Human world ships became centers of cultural exchange and technological marvel, with representatives from countless species flocking to learn, trade, and forge new alliances. On the crystalline plains of Glacius, human scientists worked alongside cryo-collective researchers, their breath frosting in the sub-zero air as they developed new methods of cold fusion. In the swirling storm clouds of Nebulos, aeroform philosophers engaged in lively debates with human ethicists, exploring the nature of consciousness and the rights of non-corporeal beings. Even on fiery Pyrrhus, the partnership between humans and Igneans was bearing fruit. Vast networks of geothermal taps now channeled the planet's volcanic fury into sustainable energy, while human-designed atmospheric processors began the long process of clearing the ash-choked skies. But beneath the surface of this galactic renaissance, troubling signs were emerging. On the horizon, Admiral Tanaka frowned at the holographic displays before her. "Ambassador," she called, her voice tense. "I think you need to see this." Chen hurried over, his eyes widening as he took in the data. "Is this verified?" Tanaka nodded grimly. "Multiple sources, all concordant. Something is happening at the galactic core, and it's unlike anything we've ever seen." The display showed a swirling maelstrom of energy at the heart of the galaxy, pulsing with otherworldly power. Tendrils of dark matter stretched out from the core, probing the surrounding systems like the tentacles of some cosmic leviathan. "Any theories?" Chen asked, his mind racing with the implications. "Nothing concrete," Tanaka replied. "But whatever it is, it's growing." and fast. At the current rate of expansion, it'll reach the mid-rim worlds within a standard solar year. Chen's face hardened with resolve. Alert the Galactic Council. It's time we shared this information with our allies. As news of the phenomenon spread, reactions varied across the galaxy. Some species, like the aeroforms of Nebulos, greeted the news with scientific curiosity. Others, including many of the former resistance factions, saw it as vindication of their suspicions about the humans. On Pyrrhus, Lord Commander Blaze struggled to maintain order as protests erupted in the streets. "The humans brought this upon us," voices cried out. "Their meddling has awakened something ancient and terrible." But it was on Glacius that the true nature of the threat first became apparent. Frost Queen Scylla stood before the grand ice mirror, her usually composed features etched with horror as she witnessed a vision of impending doom. "It hungers," she whispered, her voice carrying to the assembled court. "It consumes, and it remembers." As if in response to her words, the mirror's surface rippled and distorted. For a brief, terrifying moment, every being present saw a glimpse of something vast and ancient, a consciousness so alien and powerful that merely brushing against it threatened to shatter their sanity. Across the galaxy, similar incidents began to occur. On countless worlds, sensitive individuals reported nightmares of a voracious, all-consuming darkness. Long-dormant oracles and prophecy engines sputtered to life, spewing forth dire warnings in languages not spoken for millennia. The message, when deciphered, was always the same. The Devourers awaken. The cycle begins anew. As panic threatened to engulf the galaxy, the humans called for an emergency session of the Galactic Council. Representatives from every known species gathered on a neutral space station, their faces grim as they confronted the looming crisis. Ambassador Chen took the central podium, his holographic form projected to every corner of the vast chamber. "Friends, allies, citizens of the galaxy," he began, his voice steadied despite the weight of the moment. "We face a threat unlike any in living memory. The entity emerging from the galactic core is not a natural phenomenon, nor is it a new discovery. It is something ancient, something that has slumbered for eons, and now it hungers once more." Murmurs of fear and disbelief rippled through the assembly. Chen raised a hand for silence before continuing. "In our journey across the cosmos, humanity encountered the remnants of countless civilizations. Many had fallen to war, to natural disasters, to their own hubris. But there was one threat, one nemesis, that appeared in the histories of galaxy after galaxy. A force so terrible that its victims chose to erase their own existence rather than face it again." The chamber fell deathly silent as Chen's words sank in. Even the most skeptical representatives felt a chill of primal fear. "We called them the Devourers," Chen went on. "A species, if such a term even applies, of unimaginable age and power. They traverse the void between galaxies, awakening from aeons-long slumber to feed on the collective energy and consciousness of entire civilizations." Holograms sprang to life around the chamber, showing nightmarish glimpses of the Devourers' past incursions. Entire star systems vanished in their wake, leaving behind nothing but cold, dead husks of worlds. "This is why we came to your galaxy," Chen revealed, his voice heavy with the weight of confession. "Our own home fell to the Devourers. We fled, carrying with us the accumulated knowledge and technology of 1,000,000 doomed worlds. We sought not just our own survival, but a chance to break the cycle, to stand and fight where others had fallen." The revelation sent shockwaves through the assembly. Some representatives recoiled in horror, while others leaned forward, hungry for more information. "You knew," Lord Commander Blaze's hologram thundered. "You knew this threat was coming, and you said nothing." Chen met the Ugnian's fiery gaze unflinchingly. "We hoped to have more time, to forge alliances, to prepare defenses. We didn't expect the Devourers to awaken so soon. But now that they have, we have a choice to make. We can stand divided, clinging to old grudges and suspicions, or we can unite, pooling our knowledge, our resources, our very will to survive. As arguments erupted across the chamber, a new voice cut through the din. Frost Queen Scylla's hologram rose, her icy presence commanding immediate attention. "I have seen what is coming," she intoned, her voice resonating with eldritch power. "I have felt the hunger that threatens to consume us all. The humans speak the truth, and they offer us our only hope of survival." One by one, other leaders stepped forward. The aeroforms of Nebulos pledged their mastery of energy manipulation. The silicon minds of the Quantum Collective offered their unparalleled computational power. Even the mysterious Void Dwellers, beings of living darkness, emerged from their cosmic hiding places to join the alliance. As the council session stretched into its second day, the foundations of a galactic defense plan began to take shape. Human world ships would serve as mobile fortresses, coordinating the efforts of countless species. New weapons were proposed, merging technologies in ways never before imagined. But even as hope began to flicker anew, a sobering reality set in. The Devourers were vast, ancient, and seemingly unstoppable. Victory, if it could be achieved at all, would come at a terrible cost. As the emergency session drew to a close, Ambassador Chen stood once more before the assembled representatives. "The road ahead will be long and fraught with danger," he said, his voice carrying to every corner of the galaxy. "But know this, humanity stands with you. Together, we will face the darkness. Together, we will fight for our right to exist. And together, we will write a new chapter in the history of the cosmos." As Chen's words echoed across the stars, the galaxy steeled itself for the coming storm. In shipyards and laboratories, on planets, and in the void of space, a fever of preparation took hold. The greatest war in the history of the universe was about to begin. And at the heart of the galaxy, the Devourers stirred, their cosmic hunger growing with each passing moment. The cycle that had played out countless times before was unfolding once again. But this time, something was different. This time, the prey was uniting. This time, they would fight back. The stage was set for a confrontation that would determine the fate not just of a single galaxy, but of life itself throughout the cosmos. The final battle was approaching, and its outcome would reshape the very fabric of existence. The new era. The galaxy held its breath as the Devourers advanced, their cosmic hunger leaving a trail of dead stars and lifeless worlds in their wake. The alliance forged in the face of this existential threat worked tirelessly, races that were once bitter enemies now standing shoulder to shoulder in defiance of the coming storm. On the front lines, human world ships formed the backbone of the defense. These colossal structures, once objects of fear and suspicion, now served as beacons of hope. Their immense energy shields, powered by technology beyond the understanding of most species, stood as the last line of defense against the Devourers' onslaught. Admiral Yuki Tanaka stood on the bridge of the horizon, her neural interface pulsing with a constant stream of battle data. Around her, a diverse crew of humans and aliens worked in perfect synchronization, their differences set aside in the face of annihilation. "Status report," Tanaka barked, her eyes fixed on the swirling chaos visible through the ship's energy viewport. A young aeroform, his gaseous body contained within a specially designed suit, responded. "The Devourers have breached the outer defense grid in Sector 7. The Cryo Collective's ice lances are holding them back, but they're taking heavy losses." Tanaka's jaw tightened. "Divert power to the quantum slipstream drive. We're going in." As the horizon surged forward, tearing through the fabric of space-time, similar scenes played out across the battlefield. On Pyrrhus, Lord Commander Blaze led a last-ditch defense, the planet's very core weaponized to spew forth streams of superheated plasma at the encroaching Devourers. In the storms of Nebulos, the aeroforms had transformed their entire atmosphere into a vast, living weapon. Lightning arced between clouds of ionized gas, each bolt carrying enough energy to shatter a small moon. But for every victory, for every Devourer torn apart by the combined might of the galaxy, two more seemed to take its place. The enemy was relentless, driven by a hunger older than time itself. As the battle raged, Ambassador Chen found himself in an unlikely place, deep within the cavernous mind vaults of the Void Dwellers. These enigmatic beings, composed of living darkness, had long hidden from the rest of the galaxy. Now they offered a glimmer of hope. The Devourers are beings of pure energy. The Void Elders' thoughts resonated in Chen's mind. They consume not just matter, but consciousness itself. But there may be a way to turn their nature against them. Chen leaned forward, his eyes glinting with desperate hope. Tell me. The plan that emerged was audacious, bordering on insanity. It would require the combined efforts of every race, the sacrifice of entire star systems, and technology that blurred the line between science and magic. As Chen raced to communicate the plan to the Allied forces, the tide of battle continued to turn against them. The Devourers pressed ever closer to the galactic core, their hunger growing with each world consumed. On Glacius, Frost Queen Scylla stood before the Grand Ice Mirror one last time. The ancient artifact, which had shown her visions of doom, now reflected a slim chance of salvation. With a heavy heart, she gave the order to enact the final phase of the plan. Across the galaxy, on countless worlds, beings of every species joined hands, tentacles, or energy fields. In a synchronized act of will, they focused their collective consciousness, guided by the esoteric sciences of the Void Dwellers and amplified by human technology. In the heart of the horizon, Admiral Tanaka and her crew worked feverishly to bring the ship's systems into alignment. Quantum resonance cascade initiating, an Ignean engineer called out, his obsidian skin glowing with the effort of containing the ship's straining power core. As the Devourers converged on the galactic core, drawn by the irresistible lure of so much concentrated life force, the trap was sprung. A pulse of energy unlike anything the universe had ever seen erupted from the combined will of trillions of beings. It rippled across space-time, guided by the quantum networks linking every allied ship and planet. The horizon, at the epicenter of this cosmic event, channeled the energy through its advanced systems, focusing it into a beam of pure creation. The Devourers, beings of consumption, found themselves engulfed in a tide of generative energy. Their very nature, their hunger for destruction, became their undoing. Where they sought to devour, they were instead filled, their ancient consciousness overwhelmed by the combined will of an entire galaxy. For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, the universe held its breath. Then, with a silent explosion that rippled across the cosmos, the Devourers changed. Where once there were entities of pure destruction, there now floated beings of light and potential. The hunger that had driven them across the universe for eons was transformed into a desire to create, to nurture, to grow. As the transformed Devourers dispersed, their newfound energy seeding dead worlds with the potential for new life, the Allied forces could scarcely believe their victory. Cheers erupted across 1 million worlds, in 1 billion different languages, all expressing the same jubilant disbelief. They had won. Against all odds, life had triumphed over extinction. In the aftermath of the Great Battle, as the galaxy began the long process of rebuilding, a new order emerged. The alliances forged in the crucible of war did not crumble, but instead grew stronger. Species that had once been mortal enemies now worked side by side, sharing knowledge and resources in ways never before imagined. On a restored Pyrrhus, now a garden world of temperate volcanoes and lush ash forests, Ambassador Chen stood beside Lord Commander Blaze, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and purple. "I never thought I'd see the day," Blaze mused, his fiery form subdued in the twilight. "My people, working alongside creatures of ice and gas and void. And at the center of it all, you humans." Chen smiled, the weight of years showing in the lines around his eyes. "We came seeking salvation, both for ourselves and for you. I don't think any of us expected this." He gestured to the bustling city below, where beings from across the galaxy mingled freely, sharing ideas and dreams of a future brighter than any had dared hope for. We faced extinction, Chen continued, and instead found a new beginning. Not just for humanity, not just for this galaxy, but for life itself. As night fell on Pyrrhus, lights began to twinkle in the city below and in the sky above. Ships of every description coming and going, carrying with them the promise of new discoveries, new alliances, new possibilities. The galaxy had been forever changed by the arrival of humanity. But in the end, it wasn't human technology or even human determination alone that had saved them all. It was the power of unity, of diverse beings coming together in the face of annihilation, and choosing to fight not just for survival, but for a future worth living. As Chen looked up at the stars, no longer a void to be feared, but a frontier to be explored, he felt a sense of peace he hadn't known since leaving Earth so long ago. The journey that had begun in desperation had led to a destination beyond their wildest dreams. The humans had come to this galaxy seeking refuge. They had found a home, and in doing so, had helped forge a new cosmic community. As the transformed devourers seeded new life across the universe, Chen knew that this was not an ending, but a beginning. The next chapter in the great story of life was just starting to unfold, and for the first time in eons, the future was bright with limitless potential.